At an AOC Bernie Sanders rally in Idaho last month, someone threw a Palestinian flag over an American flag, and the crowd erupted in approval. What should have happened after that is one of the adults on stage should have told their young, loyal followers, this is not a symbol of freedom. This is. This is a serious problem for Democrats. Less than 1 in 4 Democrats under 30 say they're proud to be an American. 54% say they're embarrassed by it. Embarrassed? Like America's your mom picking you up at school? You're embarrassed to be an American? Well, guess what? The feeling's mutual. Because you have no perspective. Is America perfect? No, of course not. No country is.
Bill Maher looks like he's one meltdown away from jumping ship. And it's all because, in his view, the left's brand new brand of crazy is spiraling out of control. In a blistering monologue on Real Time, Maher unloaded on AOC and the broader Democratic Party, accusing them of showcasing what he called a disturbing disdain for America. But listen to this. I've watched Maher lose it before, but this rant was on an entirely different level. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't already, and let's dive in.
Let's hear it for Democratic politicians who keep it real. Senator Elissa Slotkin of Michigan says Democrats are, quote, weak and woke and should get some goddamn alpha energy and need to fucking retake the flag. I gotta say this. I love this new trend.
The Democrats are officially devouring their own. One by one, prominent liberals are waking up to the madness festering inside the party, and a brave few are finally calling it out. But that's not all. It's the exact warning we've been sounding on this channel for years. Left-wing wokeness has careened off the rails, and if it isn't reined in soon, it'll obliterate what little common sense remains. You could practically see the satisfaction on Maher's face as yet another Democrat snapped out of the ideological trance and started holding her own side accountable. And make no mistake, Maher is only getting started.
But here's the thing. Senator Slotkin is a serious person. She's a former CIA agent. You know how every streaming action movie now is about a soccer mom who used to be in the CIA? Okay, that's really her. So we should listen to her because she's right. Lady Deadpool is right.
This isn't just political theater anymore. It's a full-blown reckoning. When lifelong liberals like Bill Maher and Senator Elissa Slotkin start sounding like fed-up centrists, you know something's seriously broken. But listen to this. The cracks are widening and the narrative is slipping. Maher and Slotkin aren't alone either. More voices on the left are quietly whispering what we've been shouting for years. The progressive agenda has spun into outright delusion, and when someone as unapologetically blunt as Maher starts pointing fingers, you can bet the rest of the party is squirming in their seats. Brace yourself. Maher's about to drop some mind-blowing stats on the Democrats.
This is a serious problem for Democrats. Less than 1 in 4 Democrats under 30 say they're proud to be an American. 54% say they're embarrassed by it. Embarrassed? Like America's your mom picking you up at school? You're embarrassed to be an American? Well, guess what? The feeling's mutual. Because you have no perspective. Is America perfect? No, of course not. No country is.
This is beyond madness. The moment Donald Trump takes the reins, Democrats act as if they suddenly despise the very nation they claim to champion. Talk about staggering hypocrisy. But it gets worse. They preach unity only when it greases the wheels of their own agenda. The second things don't break their way, they pivot to outrage, division, and all-out chaos. Wrapped in virtue when the cameras are rolling, they quietly clutch the levers of control once the curtain falls. Unity isn't a guiding principle, it's a prop. So cue up Bill Maher, because he's about to paint a brutally honest picture of what America really looks like under Donald Trump. And you don't want to miss a word.
But the U.S. is leagues ahead of the rest of the world on most of the progressive issues that are important to young people. America has 14 million women-owned businesses. 17% of black women are starting businesses, which is faster than white women or white men. Gay Americans are free to marry, and 49% of them own property. Yes, in America, gays buy buildings. In other places, they get thrown off them.
Mainstream outlets keep recycling the same tired claim that the LGBT+ community is suddenly under siege just because Trump's in office. At the same time, cable news pundits swear women are losing their livelihoods and that America is spiraling back to 1964. But that's not all. This is fear-mongering 101. Facts optional, outrage mandatory. These talking heads don't pursue truth, they chase clicks, stoking perpetual panic to keep their audiences glued to the screen. It's a propaganda factory powered by paranoia and selective storytelling. Bill Maher, however, isn't buying a word of it. Watch how he doubles down and comes to Trump's defense.
You know all those old movies you think are cringe? Well, they're cringe because America changed, because we modernized, way more than most societies have. Our current Congress is the most racially and ethnically diverse ever. They're like a beautiful, useless rainbow. And we proudly live in a land where every TV commercial features a mixed-race couple, including the ones where it makes no sense. Mom's black, dad's white, and the kid's Asian. But here is the dilemma for Democrats. Their young people, their key constituency, not only don't like their own civilization, they like the wrong one. They actually think Hamas is a liberation movement. They chant for the Houthis. They're chanting, "We will honor our martyrs" at Yale. They're looking for love in all the wrong countries.
Do I blame the kids? Honestly, no. They're marinating in propaganda dished out by an older generation so blinded by Trump derangement that they can't see daylight. But it gets worse. What started as a grudge against one man has metastasized into a blanket contempt for the entire country, handed down like a poisonous family heirloom. Instead of fostering critical thinking, they're teaching bitterness. Instead of instilling pride, they're nurturing resentment. The result? A generation trained to see America not as the land of opportunity, but as the root of every problem.
Someone needs to tell the kids that America is not the society where women basically have no rights, where there's zero freedom of religion and where dissent is punishable by death. Our democracy may be on life support, but we still have elections. They don't. And yet at Coachella this year, when an Irish rap group projected onto screens, "Fuck Israel, Free Palestine," got big applause. "Globalize the intifada" is the catchphrase that's really catching on these days, as if worldwide suicide bombing and cosplaying Islamic revolutionaries is the answer to our problems.
Democrats and their media megaphones have peddled these solutions to a wide-eyed younger generation that's all too easy to sway. Flip on the TV, and the misinformation meter instantly goes haywire. Israel is recast as the villain simply for defending its right to exist, while terrorist groups are bizarrely elevated to the status of freedom fighters. But it gets crazier. We're witnessing a full-blown moral inversion, and Bill Maher, credit where it's due, pins the blame exactly where it belongs, on Democratic politicians willing to twist any narrative, ignore any fact, and pay any price so long as it keeps them entrenched in power.
At an AOC Bernie Sanders rally in Idaho last month, someone threw a Palestinian flag over an American flag, and the crowd erupted in approval. What should have happened after that is one of the adults on stage should have told their young, loyal followers, "This is not a symbol of freedom. This is."
It's both chilling and depressing. AOC and Bernie Sanders witnessed that egregious spectacle and still chose silence, all for a few cheap political points. But listen to this. How can anyone with a straight face equate Palestine with the United States? In large swaths of Palestinian-controlled territories, women can't vote, can't show their hair, sometimes not even their eyes, and LGBTQ+ individuals risk being hurled from rooftops. Is that really the society young Democrats want to champion? Is this what they're promoting under the banner of justice? That isn't activism, it's ignorance dressed up as moral superiority. The deafening silence from self-described progressive leaders says it all.
If the thought leaders in the Democratic Party keep encouraging and not rebuking the idea that America is cringe and the people who run Gaza are great, the Democrats are doomed. Alyssa Slotkin's right. Liberals are weak and woke, especially the white ones, and they indulge all sorts of nonsense from their kids, a pattern that then continues on in the Democratic Party. Last election, it was all the gender stuff, the insistence that men can have babies and such, and now I fear that we, like the terrorists, is the new that.
Bill Maher is finally voicing the truths we've been shouting for years, tying everything together and making it crystal clear. The Democrats are on a collision course with disaster. When the left started pushing claims like men can have babies, children shouldn't be disciplined, abortion on demand at any stage, and biological men can instantly become women, I sounded every alarm in sight, yet they laughed it off and called it progress. But it gets worse. Just look at the humiliation they've suffered at the polls. Have they pivoted? Not for a second. Instead of course correcting, they've doubled down, openly embracing causes and ideologies that excuse, sometimes even celebrate, terrorism. This isn't merely political failure, it's outright moral bankruptcy, and Americans are waking up one by one to the dangerous absurdity that has overtaken the left. The only question now is how much more damage they'll inflict before finally being held accountable. And this is exactly where Bill Maher drops the hammer.
Liberals need to push back on the dumb ideas that come from their children. The Democrats' problem is the energy of the parties with the young and the younger with the terrorists. That's not good. So talk to your children and remind them you don't really want to live like your heroes in Hamas. All the shit you do all day, it was all made in America. Your smartphone, your Grubhub, your freedom to bitch about America, that's all American stuff. You tell your phone you want a milkshake and a guy brings it to your house. Please, you couldn't survive a week living in Intifadaville.
So the sooner Democrats toss aside the lies and ditch these toxic woke ideologies, the better their chances of survival. What they really need are fresh, practical ideas that resonate with everyday Americans, ideas rooted in reality, not dogma. But that's not all. They also owe the next generation some straight talk. No more sugarcoating, no more fantasy sold as progress. It's time to wake up, stop packaging illusions as inclusion or justice, and finally confront reality. Because every day they snooze at the wheel, the party edges closer to irreversible collapse. The stench of hypocrisy and extremism is already driving voters away, especially the young people who used to be their most loyal base.
You're like the girl in White Lotus who was going to live in a Buddhist monastery and then lasted one night.
And don't sleep on the shift unfolding inside the Black community. More and more voters are waking up, demanding real answers instead of empty slogans. But that's not all. They're refusing to rubber stamp a party that trades in rhetoric while delivering few results. If Democrats don't correct course soon, they won't just lose the next election, they'll lose entire generations.
Someone must tell the usual suspects on the far left that the saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging, not keep digging. Talk about doubling down on what got you fucked in the first place. Even the one concession I've heard a few people on the losing side offer, that liberals should stop saying the Trump voters are stupid, comes with a kind of unspoken parentheses. We know they are stupid, just don't say it.
At this pace, Republicans might not even need to print yard signs in 2028. The Democrats are handling the demolition job themselves. With every tone-deaf statement, botched policy, and embrace of fringe ideology, they're driving voters away in droves. But it gets worse. By the time the next cycle rolls around, the GOP could simply grin on the way to the ballot box while Democrats limp in as a house divided, paralyzed by infighting, virtue signaling, and a stubborn refusal to face reality. They've ditched the working class, alienated minorities they once championed, and turned off millions with endless debates over pronouns and pseudo-science. If nothing changes, 2028 won't be an election unless Democrats pull a hard U-turn and fast. They won't just lose seats. They'll hemorrhage credibility, influence, and any shred of relevance while America marches on without them. But listen to this. Their current trajectory is pure self-destruction, a cocktail of lies, radical ideology, and moral confusion that's bleeding support from young voters, minorities, and even lifelong liberals. Meanwhile, Republicans barely have to lift a finger. The left's own blunders are doing the heavy lifting. If Democrats don't snap out of their trance soon, they won't merely forfeit elections, they'll forfeit the nation's trust. The tide is turning and Americans are starving for truth, stability, and common sense. Right now, they're finding none of that on the left. History won't be kind to those who traded reason for applause, and voters won't forget who stood for truth and who sold out for rhetoric. All right, that's where we'll leave it for today. But listen to this. Every like, share, and subscribe helps us keep the heat on wokeism and amplify the truth. So smash that like button, hit subscribe, and pass this video on to a friend who's ready for some straight talk. Let's dismantle the nonsense one video at a time. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.